Froglights! A light source that is added to Minecraft 1.19. And as the name suggests, Froglights come from frogs. When a frog eats a tiny magma cube, it will spit out a Froglight. There are 3 different types of Froglights: verdant, ochre, and pearlescent. The color of the Froglight depends on the color of the frog that ate the magma cube. The verdant Froglight comes from the cold frog, and the verdant Froglight has a green color to it, so coming from the green frog makes a lot of sense. The ochre Froglights come from temperate frogs, and the same rule applies. The color of the light is orangish, so the orange-ish frog, then that just all makes sense. The pearlescent Froglight, which it looks purple in color, comes from the warm frog, and the warm frog is white. So I guess you could consider the pearlescent Froglight the most white-ish Froglight, if you want to keep the same rules. To make all of the Froglights, you need 2 things: all of the types of frogs and a steady source of magma cubes. First, for all of the frogs, the variance of the frogs is determined by the biome that the frog spawned into, and growing up counts as spawning. The orange frog will spawn in temperate biomes, listed here. The green frog comes from cold biomes, listed here, and the white frog comes from warmer biomes, listed here. The orange and white frogs do spawn in naturally in swamp biomes. The white frogs spawn in the new mangrove swamp, leaving the orange frog to spawn in the old swamp biome. But you don't necessarily need to find these 2 different types of naturally occurring frogs to have all 3 of them. You can force which type of frog you want by having their tadpoles grow up in a specific biome. So you just need to find a single type of swamp biome to get the process started. You will need some slime, and hopefully you have some lying around. You can breed up 2 frogs with slime balls, and after they mate, one of them will head to a water block and lay some eggs. This frog spawn will hatch into 2 to 5 tadpoles after about 10 minutes or less. These tadpoles can then be picked up in a bucket and transferred to the biome that you want. Once the tadpoles grow into the frog, they will have the color of the biome that they're in. Pro tip: if you're trying to get tadpoles to grow up in a cold biome, but the water keeps freezing, make sure that you have a torch or a light source nearby, and that will make sure your water stays liquid and doesn't turn into a block. And that could kill your tadpoles, because if they don't have water, they'll die, just like fish. If you can get all 3 types of frogs and a constant supply of magma cubes, then you will have the start of a great Froglight farm. Magma cubes spawn in a few places in the Nether, but the 2 that we really care about are basalt deltas and bastion remnants. We like these 2 places because in the basalt deltas, only 3 types of mobs spawn: ghasts, striders, and of course magma cubes. Because of this, there will be a lot of magma cubes. We can also stop ghasts from spawning by building with only less than 4 blocks of space. And striders need lava to spawn on. So if you remove those 2 things, you got a ton of magma cubes. The other good magma cube location is bastion remnants. If you get lucky, there will be a treasure room, and inside of that treasure room, you will have a magma cube spawner. That spawner makes things a lot easier to get a constant supply of magma cubes. Where in the basalt deltas, you have to worry about stopping spawning locations all around to get your magma cubes in one spot. Over there in the bastion remnants, they just pop out of the spawner, so it does make getting magma cubes a lot easier. Now, once you have the magma cubes, there is still one problem: is frogs can only eat the tiny versions of the magma cubes. There's 3 sizes for magma cubes: large, medium, and small, or tiny. And so you have to break down the large ones into medium-sized ones, and the medium-sized ones into small ones. Good news here is that magma cubes do not naturally attack frogs, so you can have your magma cubes, even the large ones that hurt, hanging out with your frogs. The best method to break down your magma cubes is powdered snow. You can bring powdered snow into the Nether, and if you place it 1 block off the ground, then larger magma cubes, that includes the big ones and the medium ones, will have their bodies resting inside of the snow. And then they will take cold damage, which will eventually kill them, letting them break down into their smaller versions. The smallest of the magma cubes are not tall enough to rest inside of the powdered snow. So therefore, you can take any of the large versions of magma cubes and produce tiny ones, which the frogs will eat. Another advantage of this setup is that the frogs are also smaller than 1 block, so their bodies will not rest inside of the powder snow. Therefore, they won't take any of the coldness damage. So you can just have magma cubes falling into a room with this setup. The larger ones will be broken down into the smallest form of magma cubes. The frogs can live happily with that setup because the magma cubes don't attack them, and then eventually they will eat the smallest of the magma cubes. Moving frogs from the overworld to the nether is definitely the hardest part. Frogs can be led with a lead, or tempted with slime balls, or put into a boat or minecart. Because you need 3 different biome types to create the 3 different versions of frogs, I have a suggestion. First is to find your source of magma cubes. Either you can set up in a basalt delta, or you can find a bastion remnant with the treasure room and the magma cube spawner. After you've found that, then create a portal to the overworld and make sure that it's linked up correctly so that you can easily get back and forth between your potential new farm and the overworld. Then start your hunt for the 3 different types of biomes from there. And that way, the frogs will be as close as they possibly can be to the nether portal to get back into the nether. Once you have your frogs and your magma cube location, now all you have to do is collect your items, and there's a few good farms already out there on how to do this. I suggest Rayworks' farm. He has a video where he suggests a whole bunch of different farms, easy ones, difficult ones, so I would suggest you check that out. Froglights are an amazing block. One of my favorite things about them is that they can be placed and then picked up with your hand. You don't need a special tool like you do with glowstone. You have to have a silk touch pick, otherwise it'll break into glowstone dust. But with Froglights, you can just set them down and then break them again because they're not really glass, so they're not gonna shatter, and that's fantastic. And I also really like the 3 different colors because it adds a lot of variation into your builds. And there you have it, everything you need to know about Froglights, how to get them, how to farm them, and how to have a ton of these Froglights. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a like, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think, and please subscribe for future videos. See you in the next one. Bye.